Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. I am always grateful when you decide to click on anything of my content because you could be spending your time doing other things. So I'm always grateful that you've decided to watch this video. My name is Danita, and this is the first episode of Value Life, where we're all people in progress. We're all in process. And I'm not speaking from a position of being an expert, but just sharing what I am learning in hopes that it will be of use to your life as you apply things and desire to be the best person that you can be. So I have to make mention with the current climate and order of things, there's a lot of stress in our world. And primarily what I would like to speak on today is the power of the mind. A lot of we're not taught to have a disciplined mind. That's not something that's brought up in our education systems. That's not something that's brought up in our homes. We are taught, this is the right thing. This is like we're supposed to be having order and all these other things and character. But unless you're provided a skill set on how to master those things, forget it. It's not going to happen. So I want to bring that to our awareness that it has everything to do with our mindset before we are able to invoke change, permanent change into our lives. And we'll get into that in more detail as more time progresses. There's a thought in the world where, and I know you've heard it, where it's like the world is crazy. And it's not so much that the world is crazy as much as it is the people in it. The nature isn't like falling apart in and of itself. It's man's involvement in not taking care of nature is why we have so many violent storms. It's all metaphysically connected. And because that's not something that's valued in our culture, that's not something that's shared, that's not something that's passed down, we don't have an awareness, or if we do, it's not valued and instituted in a way that we actually apply it to our lives for our betterment. So I want to say and make it known that the world is not crazy as much as it is the people who live in it are acting without using a disciplined mind. So we have a lot of people who are, not using a disciplined mind to make choices. And that's a lot of times why we have the issues that they do. That's where it stems from. With that being said, my first thought that I wanted to share is that our mind needs to have a constant state of peace. When we think about it, the undisciplined mind is at a state of unrest, and it seeks to maintain a level of peace in order for it to be okay. Our minds are required to have peace and stability. That's why, when a child is being formed in the womb, they know peace, they know quiet, they know stillness, because there's a natural order of things working in their favor to help produce them, to help them develop and be cultivated in the womb. So much as long as there's not any substance abuse factors or anything, any emotional abuse that the child may be privy to during their development. There's no external factors, messing with that environment. So when the child is born, they're looking for security. And parents are supposed to be able to provide that security to that child to allow for them to continue to develop in a state where there's no disturbances, no hindrances. What happens is when a child does not get that, they develop an anxiety. which turns into a multitude of disorders that are diagnosed that really aren't real disorders, as much as it is the brain is saying, doggone it, I need stability and I do not have it, and I am accumulating, or I'm going to create a means in which I'm able to have in some sense of peace to ease the restlessness in my mind. I'll probably go more into detail with this later, but the point that I want to get across is essentially every discriminatory act, every bullying, every negative thing that happens in our society today, at the root cause, it's at the mind desiring to be still and be stable. So when we speak about racism, which it all boils down to discrimination. Racism is just a word that's been created for whatever, but it's someone's being discriminated against. So when someone is being discriminated based on their ethnicity, because there's only one race, the human race, that person needs peace in their mind. So they see someone who looks different, and that violates their mental peace. Therefore, they see that person as a threat. Now, that person hasn't done anything to them, but because the person who now is at a state of unrest feels threatened, they feel the need to reestablish that peace by getting that person that makes them feel uncomfortable out of their physical space. And in order to do that, sometimes they will use violence, sometimes they will use negativity, but they're trying to eliminate the threat to their peace. Now, a disciplined mind would know that it's not the person that's coming into that space that's so much the intruder as it is the thought within themselves. And that person who's feeling threatened needs to do some mental evaluation as to why they're feeling this way. And primarily it's because whoever is coming in their space is unfamiliar to them. It's not the person who's the problem. It's not the person coming in their space that's the problem, as much as it's the person who's experiencing the lack of unrest. And that is the source of discrimination. So men who feel threatened by a woman who's earning more money than them will feel the need to put her down in order to make them feel more at peace. A person who is of a different ethnicity, who notices someone of one ethnicity, noticing someone who's different, of a different ethnicity or physical makeup, may feel that that person in their space is threatening their mental peace and whatever, I can't think of the word, but it begins with a C, but their mental consistency, like everything is the way that it is. So it threatens their comfortability as well. Black people are not bad. I just want to point that out very clearly. If you have any skin that is darker or tan, we are not inherently stupid. We are not inherently bad people. And a lot of times it's a lot of projection. So people who feel uncomfortable around Black people, those are the people who have the issue, not the ones that are being discriminated against. Women aren't the ones who are overly emotional or the issue. It's the people who feel threatened by the woman being in their space. So let me say this. If you find yourself feeling threatened by someone who looks different than you, whether it be based on gender, sex, sexual orientation, ethnicity, size, shape, developmental conditions, or anything like that, I would encourage you to not look at that other person as being the source of the problem, but look at yourself. Have you done everything in your power to say, okay, I understand what I'm feeling right now. I am feeling uncomfortable. It's not that person. It's me that needs to check myself and make peace with this and do the work. And a lot of times, because our society has developed this attitude of, oh, it's not you, it's them, we're just like, oh, well, they're the problem. They're the ones who are wrong, and I'm okay. They're making me feel uncomfortable. It's entitlement. And entitlement is the source of a lot of stuff, a lot of discrimination. It's something that I'll touch on later about logic. We are not logical creatures. We do not function with reason. We use our emotions and feelings to justify the logical things that we do. That's why you have police officers who like to use logic to justify taking 5 police officers to pin down 1 black man. That's not logical. That's an emotional response. It does not take that many, So there's a lot of things in play in our environment, and I am extremely passionate about this, and that will come out in a lot of my episodes, that there's a lot that is being done to exacerbate the problems that we're having, and not enough conversations being had to change the order of things, because it's possible. We can change a lot if we so desire. So I thank you for watching. Please, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear all comments. So even if they're the most racist comments and you want to call me out my name, I invite you to do that. Do you want to know why? Because I want to know where your head is. I want to know how many racist people, people who are entitled. I want to know what we got going on in our society, because that tells me how far we are and how far we have to go. So I'd love to hear your comments of encouragement. I just want to hear from you to know what you think, and we'll see you again next time.